Happy 2023. Am I allowed to say that still? Third week into January? I think the rule is you can say that for the entirety of January. But whatever. I hope you're all doing well out there. I haven't done a channel update video in a long time. I haven't done a video like this since since the summer of last year when I did my 10-year anniversary of quitting my job. So it's been a while. Cue that. But this is a 2023 update video. Cue Robert Stack. Maybe I'll insert that in right there.
Update.
What's going on this year in my life? Well, my online career at least my I guess what you see. You don't see me hanging out watching basketball games or, hanging out around town and hanging out with Frank and that stuff. You don't see me exercising, but you do see what I create. You see the YouTube videos, you listen to the podcast, hopefully you read the certain NES and Super Nintendo guidebooks. So this is my update for what's going on this year, what you can expect in 2023. First off, I want to thank everyone. Yes, I have a little cheat sheet because there's a lot of stuff to go over. I want to thank everyone for watching the Intellivision Amico Christmas video. Very successful video. It's gotten about 90,000 views by the time you're seeing this in less than a week. In like 5 days, my videos don't usually perform that well. It's kind of gotten rougher the past really 3-4 years with the algorithm in general for a lot of us OG YouTubers out there. It's kind of hard to get that sweet spot of what actually you want in terms of the type of content versus is your channel focusing on one thing or not. There's so many dumb behind the scenes rules that you don't see or the content creators have no control over and they don't know what's happening. But thanks for making that a success. Some people have said it's one of my best videos ever. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of like combat and track and field, but for a Pat the NES Punk video, I put a ton of effort into it. I put a ton of effort into all those videos. Probably about, 40 hours probably, maybe more, all combined with researching all the clips and cutting it up, the writing, the editing. The rule of thumb for editing is about an hour of editing per minute. And that was like a 29-minute video. Take out a couple minutes for bloopers, but you're still editing blooper stuff. We'll just say it was 27 hours to edit that, something like that. That's probably accurate. And then you have to put in the time to track down all those clips of all those shills and low-level YouTubers that try to attack Ian and me and make a name for themselves off of the Intellivision Amico. So hubris all around to them, right? But thank you. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Norm said it was my magnum opus, gaming historian, which I guess means like my finest hour, the finest thing I've done. By the way, Norm is closing in on 1 million subscribers. He's a great pal of mine for many years. He's my roommate at a lot of conventions. So go subscribe to the Gaming Historian if you have not. His last video about Super Mario Kart was a hoot, and I have a voice cameo in that. Podcast news. The Completely Unnecessary podcast has 3 episodes left on its normal schedule. Ian and I announced that when we came back from our winter break for episode 346, which means episode 350 will be the last weekly podcast. After 10 years, we both decided that, hey, it's time. We've talked about retro games every week for a long time, or every other week. Then it became every week a few years ago. And it's about time we sort of do other things and move on. We have a lot of stuff to accomplish. I have a list of things to get done this year. But we'll still come back for occasional specials. We have stuff planned, like we're going to do the response to the Tommy Talrico 15-minute insane video he directed at us way back, and that was late 2019. That's when Ian and I both realized that this is going to fall apart if the CEO is acting like a madman like that. So we're going to do stuff like that. The Victory Lap might be a special, maybe stuff like an E3 special or quarterly special, voicemail specials, or some themed event. You'll when the bat signal goes up for us when something insane happens, we'll probably record something and you'll know about it, but it just won't be every week. It may not be even every month, but we'll be there for you. It's not going away. It's like the Babylon 5 model, right? Babylon 5 had 5 seasons. Then they did their series of movies afterwards. That's how you should treat the CU podcast. But thank you so much for your support over the last nearly 10 years of doing a podcast is insane. Most podcasts peter out so quickly. Very successful in my eyes, and thank you so much for that. Other podcast stuff potentially. Yeah, maybe I'll take a little break. Some people have asked about the Not So Common podcast returning, my solo podcast that I stopped doing a few years ago. Once the CU podcast went weekly, I can no longer do it because it was like on the off weeks I did the Not So Common podcast, which is a lot less work behind the scenes than the CU podcast. That's a big reason why I need a little bit of break from the extra work. But the Not So Common podcast, it could return. I would want to maybe tinker with a formula for it to have it be a regular formula versus just me turning the mic on and talking, even though I can probably do that. I'm known for being a loudmouth, so I could do that. So we'll see. We'll see about that, but that's not happening anytime soon. That's not happening in the next couple of months, probably. I really have to think about what I would want to do with the Not So Common podcast. There are tentative plans for me to record a pilot podcast with someone else, not gaming related, so it would not probably appear on this channel, but if you follow me on social media, you would know about it. I can't say what it would be yet, but it's not going to happen for sure, but I've been talking about it with this person for several months, and it's just making it make sense. Pat the NES Punk videos in 2023. I have a couple of ideas in my head, maybe 2 or 3 for sure that I want to do. It's getting tougher to think of ideas for me. The Amico thing was lightning in a bottle with Snow Brothers, Tom and Nick, the CFO and CEO of Intellivision Entertainment, Tom and Nick. I got that idea right before Christmas. I just had come out with the most expensive games video on the 22nd of December, and a day later I'm like, oh boy, I got to do this video now too, but it's going to be Christmas themed, but it's going to be late, but it's a good idea. I have to do it. So those sort of ideas don't come to me often anymore for the NES Punk stuff, but I have a few in my head, and the 15th anniversary of the channel and the NES Punk character is June 24th, 2023. That's when I uploaded Baseball Stars back in 2008, which was 15 years ago, pre-smartphone, pre-social media, or we're just getting into social media around then. But yeah, that was nuts. YouTube was still fairly new back then. We're still in YouTube 1.0 basically. The NES Punk character will not go on forever. Obviously, 15 years is a long time for a series like that. It's about 80 episodes. 80 episodes, not including the NWC crossover with AVGN, not including one-off stuff like the Parental Floss, Nintendo Bohemian Rhapsody, not including the mini reviews that were exclusive to the DVDs. I will probably, I'll probably upload those as content this year. There's 4 or 5. God, I remember. Did I do Blades of Steel? What did I do? Super Off-Road. I don't remember what I've done. I have a list. I have a database of the stuff I've done. But the point is that I've done 80 episodes, and that's a lot over 15 years. Yeah, it's a lot. So I do have an idea for the 15th anniversary, and I also have an idea for the quote unquote last NES Punk episode or appearance. I have the out planned in my head how to put a bow on it and end it. I'm not going to be 60 years old with all white hairs, doing the NES Punk character stuff anymore. It's gonna. I've been aging out of it, even though I feel like my writing is as good as it's ever been the past 3 years, 4 years. It's probably the best I've ever written stuff. I'm maturing maybe. There are 4 episodes left for Flea Market Madness. That will end at episode 50. There's good news and bad news. The bad news is that. Bad news first? Are you a bad news first person or good news? I usually go bad news first. The bad news is that I remember I said I had a handful of old footage left from 2017 and 16 that I would edit that. That footage is lost. So I had a hard drive. I need some water. I'm getting cotton mouth here. I had a hard drive go down, and I was able to recover a chunk of it and had other stuff backed up in various places. So it wasn't a total catastrophe. But the Flea Market Madness folder, that got screwed. And I thought I had it backed up on my laptop, since I usually record with the podcast microphone. I do the voiceovers for NES Punk stuff and for Flea Market Madness. I thought I copied them all over, and I did not. I copied them ahead of time, like a couple years back. Like, all right, I'm going to copy 6 to 8 episodes ahead, and then the last one I recorded was the last one I copied over, which was episode 46. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, Pat. Like, usually I'm good at that stuff. I'm good at keeping the backups like that. So the good news is that means 4 fresh episodes in the modern era, so people won't be saying like, oh, why don't you record new stuff? Why is this from so long ago? Well, I did record episode 47. Wow, it's the same as the podcast almost. Like a one-off. 348's coming up. 47. But Frank's not in the new one that'll be coming out within a few weeks. Maybe a couple weeks. Maybe less if I hustle. So, recording 4 new ones. I'll make sure Frank is in the last 3. He's not going to be in the next one. Magic Spoon might come back as a sponsor for a few of them. Yeah, there's just less to find at the flea market. I mean, I still find stuff. I found more than I thought I was going to find in episode 46. God, I'm confusing. 47. I'm confusing the podcast numbers with Flea Market Madness. I found some decent stuff, but I don't have the energy anymore in my old age to go to the flea markets as much as I used to. It started when I was finishing up the NES book. I just didn't have the time or energy to go to the flea markets and work on the book. And I've been going to flea markets now for 25 years regularly. It's just starting to get worn down. It's the mileage, as Harrison Ford said in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I still like going to the flea markets, but I think 50 is going to be the last one there. Go out 5s and 0s, just like the CU podcast. I think I want to do some one-off videos this year, maybe here and there every 2-3 months. Maybe behind the scenes of being on YouTube. Tell stories about stuff that's happened to me. Maybe you like this format. Maybe shoots. Maybe I could tell stories about people that have given me problems over the year. Try to do things behind the scenes to try to ruin my career or tell lies about me. I can do that. I'm not sure that'd be off-putting, but that's better format when someone interviews you like the wrestling shoot interviews. But I thought about doing that. But I don't want to burn too many bridges. But then again, when these are people that are trash that I wouldn't mind telling tales about because they try to do bad things to me. And I've kept my mouth shut for in one instance, about over a decade, just about keeping my mouth shut about people that try to come after me. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe this is going to be the year of Petty Pat. The N64 book. Wow. It's behind schedule. I thought originally it would be out by now. I thought it would take. I was dumb to think that I started planning it like May of 2020 into the pandemic, just getting into it, and I thought it'd be like, oh, this will be out in 2 years. I thought this will be out in 2 years. It'll be the end of 2022. I said, there's no way it won't be out by then. But it was rough going. That's one of the stories I might eventually tell about how bad it was to do the N64 book. Again, these are the only books on the market where the entire library, all the games are fully played and reviewed. These are not descriptions. These are not little info drops with star ratings that don't make any sense. These are full-blooded reviews. And the reason it takes years for me to complete these books is because of that. Because they have to be written, they have to be edited, they have to be double-checked. This entire book, all 400 N64 reviews, were doubled and sometimes triple-checked by different editors. Some had 3 editors' eyes on reviews. At least 2 sets of eyes were on the rest, but some had 3. It's a lot of work. It's 99.2% written. 2.2. I'm an idiot. But the assets are still being created. And once I have all the card assets made and all the hardware assets, that's when I put it together. And I do not like taking pre-orders or doing the Kickstarter until I have everything in hand and I see a finish line. I don't want to take people's money and have them wait a year. A few months behind schedule, I think, is understandable, especially since I'm a one-man band when it comes to, putting together and working with the printing house and things like that. But I don't want to. I want to be fair to everyone out there. But I think I have a good track record, putting out DVDs, putting out the first 2 books, things like that, putting out Blu-rays here and there. I think I have a good track record, hopefully, on my Kickstarter stuff. Everything got delivered on my Kickstarters. Get in early when the Kickstarter or web store goes online with the pre-orders. Speaking of that, the NES Book. Thank you so much. I still sell copies of the NES Book just about every day online. Like it changed my life. The NES Book. It really did. I think I brought this up on the 10-year anniversary of quitting my job. That the NES Book was a turning point in my life. So thank you for that. Here, where's my little Mr. Gimmick plush? Come here, Gimmick. Here, buddy. Here you go, buddy. Thank you for that. Speaking of NES, one of my favorite NES games. So, the NES Book, the third print run, will sell out this year, which is nuts to think about. 3 print runs. So after the third print run, I think I will revamp the book, and it'll be a new revision. It won't be a 4th printing of the first version. It'll be a whole new revision. I'll redo the formatting. I'll update some reviews. I will go through it again and make sure that it's worth getting again if you had purchased the first or second print, especially because the first and second print are wildly different than the third print. But if you got that first print, you might want to upgrade once I do the second revision. But that'll be, God, in the fall maybe I'll work on that. I'll probably run out of books for Christmas. I ran out of books for Christmas when it first came out. It sold out in like 2 weeks. And then I had no books that first Christmas of 2016. So history might repeat itself 7 years later. Wow, the book came out almost 7 years ago? It's like 6.5 years ago? Oh my God. So old. The N64 book will probably be the last guidebook. So that'll be the last guidebook, new one. And then the new revision of the NES book. N64 book will be the last new book. NES book, new revision will be the last book, nonfiction-wise, I probably work on. Nonfiction is really rough. You have to be accurate. You have to be meticulous. You have to really care about the subject enough not to mail it in. And there are some books in the genre, I'll just say, that are cash-ins, and mine are not. I can honestly say that. The fact they take 3 years it means they're not cash-ins. I think long and hard about the process and try to improve it from book to book, revision to revision. Speaking of the NES book, the app was updated. I mentioned this in the podcast. Version 3.0 of the NES app. New developer. It's a great version, 3.0. Go to ios.ultimatenes.com or android.ultimatenes.com for the Android version, or just search Ultimate Game Guide NES on your Google Play or iOS stores and have a ball with it. There you go. They're really good apps. We're gonna have, I think the plan might be to have, right, you're gonna have to pay for the full version no matter what, but it's a one-time payment. It's not a subscription. But we might put out a free demo, like cut down version with like 30 or 40 games, just so you can sample it and see if you want to, purchase it. And then we're gonna have the Super Nintendo library as well. And I think the plan is to have one app control both the NES and the Super. Then probably eventually the N64, and then I guess you would toggle between the libraries and do it like that, like a toggle switch. But that's probably planned. That's going to be it's going to happen probably first half of this year for the Super Nintendo app. I'm going to be pricing out my game collection this year. Not all of it. I talked about this for a couple of years. I think even before the pandemic, that I wanted to sell, God, by volume, maybe 40 to 50% of the stuff I have. I'm never going to play, obviously, some of these games, and I don't even have a love for some of these systems. So, like, I have, for example, a bunch of Sega Saturn games that I'm like, yeah, I like some Saturn games. I'm never getting around to playing these, or Sega CD, or the Genesis wall behind me, where it's like, do I really need 300 Genesis games, or 250, whatever it is? Do I really need even all the, God, I probably have 250, 300 Super Nintendo games over there. Like, do I really need all of these? And that's where I've come to the past few years. And when I moved 5 years ago, it crystallized it, where, wow, you have a lot of stuff. And it's a lot of the consoles that take up a huge amount of space that are kept in another part of the house and in the garage, where it's like, okay, if I move again, I do not want to pack this stuff up. Or if I want to, get a smaller place, it would be impossible. That's one of the reasons why I had to get Castle Country. My condo was just busting out. It was busting at the seams. So yeah, want to sit here? Sit here, little guy. Okay. So I'll be doing that, and I'm sure I'll get offers from several dealers. It will not be eBay stuff. Trust me, I do not have the time to put stuff on eBay and then pack it and mail it. But it'll be one person will come up with a truck. We'll have a price in mind before they come out. Hey, Pat, here's the money. Put them on the truck and drive them back to wherever. Like that. That's going to happen this year, most likely. Speaking of that, I forgot to put this. I forgot to put this away with my Christmas stuff. The blinking lights hat from the video, from the Amico Christmas video. Twitch streams every Wednesday. Twitch.tv/CountryCode, where we watch retro TV commercials and I riff on them, and sometimes it's educational as well. I get a kick out of them. I don't look at that as work. I mean, Twitch is work. I have a lot of respect for people that do it 5-6 days a week trying to grind away. I couldn't do that because I just couldn't sit in front of a computer trying to be entertaining for that long every day. But for like 2-3 hours once a week, people get a kick out of it. Check it out. It's a fun community. It's a great laugh. Sometimes we have our own memes if you haven't been in there. So yeah, every Wednesday, Pacific time, between 4 and 5 I usually start. So that's between 7 and 8 East Coast time. Twitch.tv/CountryCode. I thought about an Ask Frank update. I don't think I'll do the series ever again, but maybe I can be talked into it. I thought about the Frank crates, how fun the Frank crates used to be, but I did those because Loot Crate used to sponsor me, so I did the Loot Crate video followed by the Frank crate once a month, where it was like giving back to Frank, like, because he helps me with the Flea Market Madness videos. It's like Frank deserves stuff, and Frank, you used to be so generous. Frank got so much cool stuff and handmade art and things like that, and gift cards and t-shirts. He got so much stuff. Thought about that, but I don't want to have to ask people to donate stuff to Frank. So let me know if that's something you want to see, like a Frank crate, like not every month, but maybe every quarter, something like that. Voice acting, I mentioned this a few months ago. I have tentative offers for maybe contributing a voice maybe in a future game. I'd like to explore voice acting a bit more. I speak for a living. I have a decent speaking voice, I think, right? My elocution's not bad. Elocution. So if you have a project out there, if you're working on a game or something animated, or just let me know. Shoot me an email, or on Facebook or on Twitter at me and be like, hey Pat, I have this project. I think you'd be cool for this voice role. Let's talk about it. I think it might be fun to try that. I might be helping out, believe it or not, with a musical. See, these are things where people online that watch my videos, they think they know everything you do in your life because they watch you on YouTube. They think they know everything you're involved with. I think it's cute. This is all they're doing, the stuff that I'm seeing. No, there's other stuff going on behind the scenes. You may not know about it, but you'll hear about it on social media. I'm also working on something, a long-term project that I cannot talk about yet, and you may hear about it, knock on wood. Is there any wood around? Knock on gimmick. You would hear about it, God, maybe by the end of the year, if I'm lucky. So that's what I mean. There's always stuff going on in my world that hopefully you hear about and hopefully it comes to fruition. But yeah, I'm gonna be busy this year, but not as busy, probably. But things are shifting. Things are shifting here a bit in my life. Last but not least, some people have already reached out asking what conventions I'm going to be at. I've been asked already to come to a handful of conventions. There's only, I think, 2 or 3 on the docket for sure. But the probable ones I always go to every year, it's like the core 4. The core 4 that I for sure will probably be going to, for sure, probably. PRGE Portland, the big one. SoCal Retro Gaming Expo in my backyard. Retropalooza, and Too Many Games. Those are the 4 that I'm 99% sure I should be at those. After that, we'll see. I think I went to 2 or 3 too many conventions last year. I got burnt out from the travel. I had to turn down. I could have went to, this isn't bragging, but this is the truth. To let you know how much this takes out of me, I could have went to a convention every week in October if I wanted to. I couldn't handle it. I only can do 2. And then I could have went to a couple in November and 1 in December. So there was at least 5 this year. Actually 6. 5 or 6 that I had to turn down because I'm just like, I am burnt out from the travel. And it was after 2020 not going to them for a year and a half, I got like a jolt of energy. But then I was like, wow, I feel a lot older now, like 2 years later. And then 2022, I was like, okay, this is starting to take its toll on me more than I thought it would. Again, it's the mileage. But I'm at least going to be going to those 4, and probably you put a gun to my head, I'll probably do 6 or 7 conventions next year. The highest amount would be 8. We'll just say 6 or 7 conventions I will probably do next year. I think that's a safe number. I don't count San Diego Comic-Con since I'm not usually a guest there. I've only done a couple of panels ever. Then that's in my backyard. I don't count that. So outside of that, probably 6 or 7 conventions. And I won't be doing conventions forever. I know someone I've spoken to that doesn't want to do conventions anymore. They're burnt out from them. It happens. It happens. It can happen. It's a lot of grinding and traveling. It takes a lot out of you, and talking to people for 8 hours straight and doing your panels. And yeah, I've seen people get burnt out from it. It happens. So that's my very verbose update for 2023. Yay! I hope you have a great year. I'm looking forward to this year. I think it's going to open up new opportunities for me. You're going to have, knock on wood, again, my knee's not wood, but that's where I tore my ACL once, so maybe there's wood in there. I don't know. They don't use wood, probably. A new book by the end of the year. Other projects down the pike. So thank you so much for your support, and I will see you soon. All right? Take care.